This is the magazine. My name is George Njuguna.
And I am Maureen Favor Muturi.
Good. So I confused some dates. I told you 2014, but it wasn't. Was it 2014 that I said or 2013? I don't know what I said, but I've just been corrected by Favor herself. She says the headaches came back. Was it the headaches or the pain? The pain came back in 2016. So what happened again?
Okay, so let me clarify.
Yeah.
So I went for treatment, yes, in 2012. I became better. 2013, I relapsed. Maybe that was what you were referring to.
Okay.
But yes, when I did, I just moved out of the boarding school and came to
Day school.
2013 was not such a horrible year.
Okay.
It was good. Good in the best way it can be.
Yeah. Then
2014, I was doing my KCSE. That was a challenging year. It was very challenging.
Okay.
We had to go back to India because my body was not responding to the medication.
Okay.
And I had not gone or been in school for the whole of second term.
Okay. Which is very critical in the calendar for Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happened was when we were doing MOOCs, my mother would go to school, get the MOOC papers. I come and do the papers at home while she invigilates.
Okay.
And then she goes to school, hands over the done papers.
Is she a teacher?
Others. No, she's not.
Okay. Did she allow you to cheat on the exam?
Oh, absolutely not. We have very strict rules when it comes to education in our house. It's very valued, and so I knew that.
Yeah.
So there was no chance for cheating. And do you know, after all that, I was number 6 in both streams.
Wow.
We're like 100 and I don't know.
I'm sure your fellow... now the Kikuyu in me.
Yes.
Your fellow students or ladies were just saying, you are cheating.
Of course. That's what many people assumed. Others assumed even worse. But what I can say is God helped me in my studies. You know how people have timetables to study for mathematics and then English? I didn't have such a timetable. Timetable was my head.
Yeah.
Do I have migraines? No. Let's study for a bit. When they come, you pause, and I can't do anything after that.
Yeah.
So we went to India, but it wasn't as forthcoming as when we went in 2012. I came back and I still didn't go back for third term. You will not imagine that I went back to school on October 16th. And my chemistry practical was October 17th.
What?
And I only
and
went
so
to
at that
school
point, how are you studying then?
like that. Studying, if I don't have pain, I study. If I have the pain, I don't. And so it was a miracle how I used to study. I found such comfort in how actually God is the one who used to tutor me. I'd open the book, I'm like, God, you know that I don't have time and I don't have time to go through all this, so you have to show me what to read. So I would go and read where I felt I needed to read. That's the place that exams used to come from, by the way. some of which
you're being taught by the person who set the exam.
Yes,
technically
it was amazing reading, because I would sit and really, God tells us, come, let's reason together. So when we reasoned, I told him I don't have time to read the whole book, so you gotta show me where to read. And I used to do that, and that's how I used to study.
Your relationship was so tight with him.
I could not have survived without him. I absolutely could not. He was my heir. So even when there's a time I tied number 1 with my desk mate, and the other students were not happy at all. They were wondering, this person doesn't even come to school half the week, so how are you coming and topping the class? People have had their own presumptions about how I used to do that. But at the end of the day, I am one of the areas that God has moved the most is my studies.
Yeah.
And when it was time for KCSE, that was another time God moved in miraculous ways. First of all, our class teacher told us to write to NEC and explain our difficulties so that we see what kind of leeway I could be given.
Yeah.
So the supervisor came. She was told she's number 3 in the indexing. I was number 3 in the indexing, and these are the challenges that she's facing. So number 1, I used to be carried by a stretcher from the. I didn't even used to. I stopped going to class because the class was on 2nd floor, and my legs just could not have that. So I was given a space to be studying at the dean's office. So I would be carried by a stretcher from the dean's office to the examination room, and then I do my papers.
Okay.
And then when I'm done, I'm carried back.
Were you comfortable then there?
It wasn't about comfort, the level of comfort. It was about I need
Finish
to do
the
my
exam.
examinations.
Yeah.
And so by any means necessary. I could, because of the migraines, I could be given like a leeway of 15 to 30 minutes. When I feel it's too much, I lay on my desk for those 15-30 minutes. And then the invigilator comes and wakes me up to continue with my paper. These are things unheard of. You've never had such stories.
No, I've never had.
And then I'm extended just some minutes. The rubber met the road one day when my hand refused to write. And that's my only means of writing my paper. So I would have a biro and the biro would just fall because my muscles of my hands refused to write. It was a whole frenzy of activities because now my teachers are panicking. I'm not panicking. For the piece, when you told the piece that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
So they were panicking for me on my behalf, but I was not panicked.
Yeah.
And I was carried by a stretcher out of the examination room because now the others were kind of being distracted.
Yeah.
And we tried everything. I tried painkillers. I tried a hot water bottle. I tried an even longer hot water bottle that covered my whole hand. My hand was not writing. So I just whispered in my teacher's ear, can someone write for me? The supervisor, who was God sent, by the way, I'm telling you, when God was choosing that specific supervisor, he had me in mind. She said, okay. So she pulled one of the invigilators and I would dictate the answers and then the invigilator writes.
Wow.
But then in chemistry, you have to balance equations before you have your final answer. So me and my left hand, which has never written anything, is what we would use to balance equations. It was like a whole chicken affair on that paper, but that's what I did. So for 2 papers I was written for. The other papers I would write 1 letter at a time holding my wrist because my wrist was in so much pain.
You've taken me back. So on February 4th of this year, I felt sick. I woke up, my right side was numb completely. I couldn't walk properly. It was very tiring. That was a Saturday. I am in Bible study fellowship, so I went for Bible study fellowship. And after that, I just felt I need to go back home and sleep. So I came back home, slept. Sunday, I had 2 services. I only did 1.5. I was leading. And then after that, I think I went back home again to sleep. So on Monday, when I'm going to work, I just felt that this is too much. I didn't go to hospital because I didn't have money. So on Sunday night, the Holy Spirit just told me, talk to this person, tell him your condition, then deal with it from there. So one of my friends who saw me the way I was kept on pestering, go to hospital, let me know what you need. So I called the doctor that morning. So I explained to him what is going on, and then he was like, okay, I want you to go and do a CT scan, which is what I did. And I got financial support from friends throughout. So when you talk about writing, I still write right now. I can't write properly. My handwriting is not back the way it used to be. So I kind of understand what you are going through. And I'm imagining this is a national paper that you're doing. It must have been something that was really bringing your morale very down.
On the contrary, I was not down. I felt like a cloud was over me the whole time because everyone else was worried except me.
Including your parents.
My parents,
They were ready for any results.
exactly. And it got so bad that for me to be able to do the next paper, I had to go to hospital, get painkiller shots so that I'm able to go to do my paper the following day. I had to, and it's opioid injections, like the higher up injections.
That's more than what is this other one called? The one we
It's
are
in the
used to.
class of morphine.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the class of morphine.
Okay.
But I want to tell you how God shows up. After all that drama, I had an A minus.
Wow. Where? What did your teacher say?
They were beyond. In fact, when I finished my papers, my supervisor hugged me like a mother would and told me, "We have finished." Like, it was stress for her also because, and you see, the thing was, I couldn't repeat another year because that year was tough enough. So, first of all, to be touched by God that much, to accept that someone writes, it was illegal, to be honest, for someone else to write for me. So after all that, I got an
Because
A minus.
that teacher may have been for that subject. And then your
It was
answers...
an invigilator.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it was a teacher. So probably that was his or her subject. So when you're giving your answers and she's saying, this is a wrong answer, she just gives you what is right.
No, she wrote what I dictated.
No, I'm not saying that's what it is,
Yes,
but
that
you
how it would
one
have
can
been looked
easily
at.
do
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So God has been showing off with me, and that is one of the biggest miracles I've had. And the people who knew where I was at that moment would just scream on the road, "What have you just told me? She got what grade?"
Wow.
And that is
See
God for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had you discovered your purpose then?
I did when I was in Form 1 because I'm a bit of a, I want to say chap. I'm a bit of a very fast, I get antsy very fast. So once I got saved, and that was Form 1 first term, by second term I was like, okay, God, I'm saved, then what? What's my purpose? I want to know my purpose. And immediately there was a very strong impression in me that I was meant to help people. At the time, what was impressed in me was psychology, understanding the mind and the behavior of people. And it evolved from there. So I became a peer counselor from Form 1. I'm this person people flock to for advice. And I'm the strong anchor of people. But... excuse me. But what happened was God gave me wisdom. I asked for wisdom at a certain point, and he gave me wisdom for other people, not mine. So it doesn't work for me when I'm giving advice. That advice is for them. So my purpose has evolved over time. Yes.
Let's take another short break. When you come back, we talk about your purpose now.